If it's not achievable, then your brain just shuts off and says, I can't do that. Why bother? If it's too simple, the brain almost goes, why bother? I can do that in my sleep.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. Hello everybody, it's good to have you back for another one-on-one Tiff and Tony Show. Tony, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful, thank you. For those of you who don't know, I'm watching the Euros right now. England are in it. We just beat Germany 2-0, so I'm a very proud Englishman today. And yeah, how are you and where are you?
Yes, so we are good. We're actually doing a little bit better. My dogs and me are chilling in a hotel room because there's a crazy heat wave. We're in Bend, Oregon. The weather has been between 104 and 106, 108. So yeah, there's just no way we could have been in the van for me to work because we can't just be at the river all day.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to get a place to stay and we feel so much better. Complete change of attitude. I was realizing the heat made me a little grumpy, so I feel so much better.
Good. I'm glad about that. Well, so today we're going to continue this conversation about a life plan. We've already set some goals and connected them to a bigger purpose and made them sticky goals. We've started with the end in mind and talked about our obituary, right? That life story that helps us defend. And so now we're actually going to track into this idea of creating a plan, a 10-year, a 5-year, and a 1-year plan. Ultimately, today we're going to focus on the 10-year plan because ultimately we're going to 10-year and then we'll just halve that to a 5-year and then make it smaller to a 1-year. But there's some details that we can cover. So that's what we're going to do today. It's going to be exciting. So where do you want to start? What do you want to know?
Yeah, so I just want to know, why would someone need or want a 10-year plan? How does that help us? What's the benefit?
Oh, okay. So it takes that bigger picture, right? The bigger life goal of my obituary is I'm going to set up a big company that serves millions of kids around the world. But that's so big that the brain can't get its head around it. And so what it needs to do is we need to kind of chunk it down into smaller, more manageable things. And starting with a 10-year thinking, okay, what's my life going to be like in 10 years gives me that runway to move towards my final kind of destination. And it also gives us the flexibility to weave in and out of life's challenges because we can reassess constantly along the way, which is important.
I also want to mention, for those of you out there who didn't watch our previous episode, check that out because it gives a lot of context and sets a foundation for what we're talking about today and the next couple times that we talk about the life plan. So go check that out and then come right back. So
absolutely.
Set us up, life plan, 10 years. How can you even plan for 10 years down the road?
Right, it's still a big picture, right? And so the first thing we do is just simply write our age down. How old will we be in 10 years time? Easy starting point, write it down. And then you think about, and this is where it gets creative a little bit as well. And you think about if there was a movie that was named after your life in that 10 years time, what would the title of the movie be? Right. And what you want to do there is kind of just list a bunch of stuff out. I find a really good creative exercise is this listing. And you just take 2 or 3 minutes, set a clock, and then just write just a list of stuff. And what that does is it gets the brain open to kind of creative ideas. There are no right or wrong answers here. It's just you writing down what could be movie titles for my life in 10 years time. And in 3 minutes, you should really aim to try and get to about 15 or 20 potential titles.
Okay, I thought
right.
Like 3, 5.
Right, and the reason we say, if you can get to 15 or 20, then you're really kind of asking your brain to think. And typically your better answers will come in sometime after around about 7 or 8, because then your brain's got rid of the usual standard blockers, and now it's just writing stuff for writing stuff's sake. Mine's going to be the dream maker, right? That's it. Mine's the dream maker because my dreams have come true. 64 years time, I've made it all happen, and so I've got the dream maker.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'll think a little bit more on mine.
Yeah, it can be a tough exercise to start off with, but if you do this listing and you try and make it a little habit when you come across things, like 2 or 3 times a week, just start listing on ideas. You could take a random object, a pen, right? And then just put the pen in front of you, set 3 minutes on your timer, and list all of the potential usage of a pen, right? And get as many as you can. And it opens up the creativity connections in your brain. And then it just gets into the habit of thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. It's a really cool idea.
So then what's next? We write down our age, we come up with a movie title for 10 years.
So then we're going to break it down into career, health, family, friends, and spiritual. So 5 areas: career, health, family, friends, and spiritual. And what you're going to do then is, in your career, just 2 bullet points. Where would you like your career to be in 10 years time? So you write it down as to what it is that you want it to do. So my top one is, I have created a $10 million organization that is serving youth around the world, helping them be their best versions of themselves. And so you just sit there and write that out, and then you can go through, like I said, 2 or 3 is typically good. You do that in career, you do that in health. And remember, you're creating the ideal world in which to walk into. This doesn't have to be, oh, this has to happen for it to be successful. Right. This is something for you to aim towards. It gives you a roadmap, as it were, right? Exactly. And so health, my top point is, I'm actually in the best shape of my life. Right? That's a big thing to aim for. But it makes me wake up today going, well, if I want that to be true, then what am I going to do today? Right? Family, my wife and I will be empty nesters, and we're going to be living, yeah, I know, isn't that crazy? Yeah, and we're going to be living and enjoying our new Dana Point home. We're going to live in Dana Point.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful there. Wow, you have quite the 10-year plan.
Yeah, why not write it down? Why not write it down?
And marvelous.
Yeah, and I put some thought to this, right? And it's this idea that I want to try and make something that I can step into and walk into. So it's got to be worthy, right, of my time and attention. Friends, I have a great group of friends who get together often and talk about their life adventures and what they still have left to do. Right, this is something that I want to happen. Spiritual, I have a strong meditation practice that helps me stay sharp and aware of my mind. Right, and so I've got 2 or 3 other bullet points under all of these, but I write it down. And then what I do with that is, every morning, you don't have to do it every morning, I get up early and I read my obituary, my story summary, my 10-year, 5-year, and 1-year plan. I read all of these over and over and over again. And what it does is it solidifies it in the brain, and now suddenly my story is now what I've written here, because now I'm making decisions based on my life plan.
It's like we talked about last week. It helps us narrow our focus to know what to say yes to, what to say no to, because by no means this is not set in stone. I hope we all know by now as humans. If you don't know, I'm gonna enlighten you a little bit. Life doesn't usually go as planned. Whether it's good things or bad things, a good thing can still turn into a good thing. It just may not look exactly like maybe what you thought or in the order you thought it would happen, and that's okay. And there's challenges along the way, and there might be a lot of roadblocks that we hit on the way to maybe reaching these goals. And it's also okay if these plans morph and change. It's just identifying what you want your future to look like, what type of person you want to be, how you want to contribute to the world, how you want to love yourself and others, and helping you, like you said, every day know how to get there, because it can sometimes be really hard to navigate life and know what to do, where to go, which direction to take. And when we have at least a loose and positive plan that we're aiming towards, it can help us at least make those decisions.
100%, and that's really what we're doing for. And then there are a couple of other things that you add to that, is 2 things that I try and do every day, right? So in 10 years time, 2 things I try and do every day. So I will be looking to do to meditate and do yoga, right? I put those 2 into one, and get outdoors and enjoy nature. They're the 2 things that I'm going to try and do every day, and the 2 things I don't do every day. So 2 things I do and 2 things I don't do. And so the 2 things I don't do will be to worry. I am not going to be worrying when I'm that old, and I'm not going to be saying bad things about other people. not going to be talking about other people in a negative way.
Yeah. So I love those two categories because, for one, the two things that you're going to do every day, what you chose is really manageable and reasonable and achievable. It's definitely something to aim for. You have to put energy into doing them. It's also something that's totally doable on most days. Yes, life happens and chaos and things can change. And yeah, maybe, one day a month you're not able to do that, and that's okay. But I think it's really important you chose something that's achievable and reasonable. And also the same can be said for those two things you're not going to do every day is judge / talk poorly about other people and worry. And those are really great things to kind of prune out of you, if you will. And I love that that's what you chose. And it speaks to your character actually too.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah.
And so there is a story summary that you can put into there as well. So my story summary point at this point is, and then you just write a small sentence. So I'm from a small town in England. So my story summary is: small town English kid has made it big in the US. He launched and grew businesses that reflected his passion for helping others grow and be their best selves. And he is now seeking his next adventure. Right, that's my little story summary. And so when you think about a movie caption, it's kind of fits into the movie. Yeah, that's kind of what we do. So that's the 10-year, and I read that, and then the 5-year is kind of half of that almost. There's some changes, but it's almost half of that. My movie is the Youth Leadership Revolution, because I'm going to be changing how youth leadership and youth sports is done. I'll be 59. And the business is kind of half of where I want to be. There's some subtle changes. Health, I want to make sure to eat and drink what is good for me. So I'm thinking about my health in a dietary way. Family, we travel as a family at least once a year to explore somewhere new and exciting, right? And so that's something that I've put out there as a family. Friends, I have a core group of friends who meet regularly and challenge each other. And my spiritual is I pray expectantly for the abundance that God has promised me, my family and my work. So again, kind of along the way, there's some subtle changes. The 5-year is halfway. Again, we do the two things that I do every day, the two things that I don't do every day, and we do our story summary. So it gives you almost a marker along the way, right? Here's my obituary, here's my 10-year, then a little closer is here's my 5-year, and then here's my 1-year. And our 1-year now is exactly the same components: movie, career, health, family, friends, spiritual, things I don't do, things I do. My story summary, and then we add to our 1-year primary tasks. So now we're actually breaking it down into a primary task component where we would sit there and go, so my career, for instance, I have created the framework and structure needed to build pure game. I have the right people in the right spots doing the right things. And so one of my primary tasks is to create reporting metrics that are based on lead indicators for all of my departments, right? And so I've actually got these little primary tasks that build to me wanting to create that bigger 1-year kind of goal.
And did I miss how many tasks is a good range to choose? Not too many or too little?
It's the kind of Goldilocks theory, right? Not too hot and not too cold. It's going to be achievable and manageable. If it's not achievable, then your brain just shuts off and says, I can't do that. Why bother? If it's too simple, the brain almost goes, why bother? I can do that in my sleep. And so I've got 10. I actually list 10 kind of tasks here. That's up to the individual as to where they go with that. But 10 tasks, remembering this is a year's worth of tasks that are going to be broken into. So they're almost subcategories that that on a daily basis, I'm going to be looking at these to say, what can I do today? It's different to your goal. Your goal is something that's a little extraordinary, right? That's going to take some time and attention. So my goal of raising money, that's time and attention over here. But then when I'm not working on this, I've got a bunch of kind of daily tasks that I know I've got to do all of the time to create the success I'm looking for. I know that I've got to do the Tiff and Tony show on a regular basis. I know that I've got to reach out to potential interviewees, right, that we can interview on here. I've got to write, and I've got to find content for our communications team. So those are tasks that I know that I've just got to get done. They're just regular weekly things. When I sit down and plan my week, got to find time for all of these. Bam.
Where do we go from here? Let's just say I've just spent 4 hours, maybe not that long. I don't know how long it would take. I did my 10-year plan, my 5-year plan, my 1-year plan.
That gives you kind of the foundation, right? If we're going to build a house, we've got to lay a solid foundation. So there's your solid foundation.
Okay.
So now you actually start to act upon that. What I've created, I've taken a couple of different tools that I've been working with, and I've created a daily plan. This is a daily plan. We will cover this next Tiff and Tony show.
Yes.
Talk about the daily plan, and we'll go into how that's broken down and how it fits into the life plan. But for right now, the challenge is think about your 10 years from now. How old will you be? Where do you want to be in those 5 categories, right? Where do you want to be in your career, your health, your family, your friends, and spiritual? Actually spend some time working through these to figure out what the roadmap of your life for the next 10 years could look like. It's worth dreaming big. This is not to say that if you don't reach it, you're going to be a failure. This is just going to give you a direction to head. And when life gets hard, as Tiffany said, it actually gives you motivation to keep going. And it gives you the ability to make decisions when all of the chaos is going on around you. So you can actually choose your path and move ahead with what you want to achieve in life.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. That's definitely something that I can be thinking through. I've never really been one for life plans because I kind of try to hold things loosely a little bit, but I can see where this could maybe help guide some of my decisions along the way. And I hope that it does the same for you. So please come back next time for our episode talking about the daily plan. We'll help kind of put some of this more into perspective. We've got a good foundation. Thank you so much, Tony. I also hope you're enjoying your chocolate this past week, like we talked about last week.
I've been.
Yes, little inside joke. So another little treat to get you to watch the other episode. Come right back. Well, enjoy your day, Tony. Everyone, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much. See ya.
Thank you so much for joining Tony and me in this week's episode of the Tiff and Tony Show. We hope you feel encouraged and motivated to keep growing with us. If you like what we do here at Pure Game, one of the best ways you can support us is by liking and sharing this video with your friends on social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel using the button directly below this video on YouTube, and you can donate at our website, www.thepuregames.org. And with that, we'll see you right back here next week.